Hi everyone. As a tech sales performance coach, I get on a lot of calls. Many of them actually don't turn into short-term clients, but I still love getting on them because I like feeling like I'm providing value. I like ensuring that my advice resonates with tech founders from the earliest of stages, and I generally just like connecting with folks. In this particular call that you're going to see, I connected with two Asian co-founders. They found me through LinkedIn. They had seen a lot of my content already, and they were interested in getting some advice. Now, they aren't ready for formal coaching right now, but I was still very engaged in the conversation because I like thinking through early stage sales problems. And I know that in the medium to long term, if I provide value, they'll at the very least come away with some positive vibes. They might tell their other founder friends about me, and they'll also likely continue to follow me, support my journey, whether it be through LinkedIn, my podcast, Decoding Sales, or in other ways. I really do truly believe in karma. And so I like to give back to the founder community as much as possible. So take a listen. Would love your feedback on what you see here. And hopefully some of the advice that I give to these founders resonates with all of you and can be helpful in your early stage sales journey. One disclaimer I'll note is that this is not a tech product that I'm selling. I'm selling myself. I'm building trust. I'm having a little bit of fun while meeting people as well. So don't judge this from the lens of, oh, like Peter didn't set up next steps, like he ran out of time, because I did a lot of things that I would not coach into an AE or founder if they were actually trying to do a buttoned up, polished enterprise pitch. But again, I am a coach. I'm selling something a little bit different. And in this particular call, I'm actually not trying to sell a product. So just keep that in mind, but take a listen and hopefully it's still interesting and helpful to you all. Nice to meet you both. Yeah. Thanks for reaching out.
No problem. Yeah. Thanks for jumping on the call. I really appreciate it. I know you're so busy, right? You're traveling.
Yeah, I'm traveling this week and then also last week. Right now I'm in San Diego, but during travel weeks I try and catch up as much as possible the first few days. Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah. Yeah. I'm also in San Diego too.
Oh,
I
cool.
went. Yeah. I
Nice.
went to Fernando.
Oh, very cool. Yeah, you mentioned that. Yeah, I'm in Del Sur, so we're close by.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Well, hopefully we can meet in person. Yeah, thanks for doing the virtual version ahead of that. But yeah, excited to get to know you both and see if I can help.
No problem. Again, I really appreciate it because I really like your content
Oh,
and I
appreciate
think
that. Thank you. Yeah, it's been a grind, Sometimes you don't know who's picking it up and who's actually resonating with it. So, well, I appreciate you both looking at it at least, and yeah, I'm glad it's hopefully it's helped, think about some things at least. Yeah, I want more of our faces. So, yeah, I'm super passionate about helping Asians specifically. So, yeah, glad we're chatting. I'm excited to get to know too. I looked at the website. I saw there wasn't like much yet. You guys are still probably in like kind of stealth mode, right? So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing it. Are there like competitors, would you say, that you anchor against, or like what is like a good conceptual way of thinking about the product?
I would say competitive. There's just a lot of, for example, bullying, right?
Hmm.
Bullying.
Yep.
Yeah, like enterprise search. They
Sure.
started as enterprise search and they started a lot of different stuff.
Got it. I see. So you're trying to be more
Yeah.
niche into like product development cycles.
Right. Right.
Okay,
Right.
cool.
So other competitors will say like last name products, right? You're probably tracking Jira.
Yeah.
Or even Legion, right? Even though they're like smaller than Jira, I think. So
The space is probably ripe for disruption because like they like even probably wasn't built for this era, right? That's probably, I'm guessing, like a lot of your guys' angle.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
You should knowledge everywhere. You want to be like I said, the middle layer to consolidate a lot of knowledge. So and add a lot of knowledge into like reporting people. Anything just imagine the future as features type of things, right? About what doesn't even give you right? So
Yeah. Very
um
interesting. Okay.
yeah, yeah.
And do you guys have so the persona that you're targeting is head of product, is that right? Usually?
Yeah.
Is that
Yeah.
who it is? Okay. And what's your ideal customer, like company size? Where do you think this becomes a problem? Like when there's like more than 10 product managers, or like what do you think?
Yeah, I think this like we did some discovery, right? Talk to users and so I think really when you have maybe like 100 plus, it's real
That makes sense. Yeah. And are you thinking of this as like product and designers and eng accessing it, or are you even thinking like the rest of the company, right? Like, cause the thing, obviously like I think about sales, and one of the biggest things in sales is like product roadmap transparency, right? So I could see there being kind of like an interesting, it could be dangerous too, I think, because you don't want salespeople to incorrectly convey information externally. But I wonder if you thought about that too. Like, is there like an external facing version of this too that's a little bit more, watered down but still has usefulness, right? How are you guys pricing it, or have you thought about that, or are you just like still figuring out, how to charge your first customer?
Yeah, we're still figuring out. That's why I guess we're going to 2021, right? Because this product is
Yeah,
a solid
totally.
PLG product.
Sure. Well, what is the, like, when you talk to the folks you're talking to today, like what is the biggest problem they have, right? Like, do they kind of verbalize the impact of not doing something like this? Like, can you quantify that in any way?
For example, like product manager, right? In a big company, a lot of the like 20, 30% of the job is either finding stuff, like, hey,
Hmm.
who did this, right? Like,
Yep.
or responding to this kind of request, like, other PM, other team, like, hey, why would you
Sure.
do that?
Sure.
Or it could be like salespeople too, like, hey,
Sure.
running.
Yeah. Yeah. And is your cost model based off of usage? Like, do you like, is it pretty expensive for you if you guys were to say like, hey, this is the price and just use this in an unlimited basis?
I think so. I think
Yeah.
it's probably at this point it's probably pretty expensive, but the cost won't go down, right? Like the
Sure,
price
sure.
of the
Okay, makes
more, so
sense.
I
Makes
wouldn't say
sense.
that we have to cap the usage or whatever.
Makes sense. Makes sense. Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
yeah.
Yeah, so on pricing, what I would say is, if that's the question, like there's a couple things I think about. First is, the reason why I asked about the impact is I think you should like become really confident in that, right? To say like, hey, like we've heard 20 to 30% of like high level VP product time is spent wasted on these things. You have like 5 VPs of product in your 2,000 person org. So you're probably wasting like $300,000 a year just on that, right? And then like, let's think about the impact of not launching a product, right? Because that's what happens when your VPs are focused so much on figuring out what's going on. Like, you might have delays that are even like 1 quarter out. And if your CEO is asking to make a big announcement after the next board meeting, then that could have millions of dollars of impact, right, on the business. Not to mention everything else. Then you have to like slow down like PR, you have to like talk to marketing, and then there's even like more of an impact radius on how much time you're wasting, right? So given that, like the way I would want to sell this is like, given all of that impact, and it seems like you're aligned, this is where discovery is important. You have to be like, do you have these 3 or 4 or 5 problems, or even like one problem? And if they're like, we don't have any of these problems, and you're like, okay, let's not talk anymore then, like let's wait. But if you have these problems, then like for us starting off, because we're a startup, we have a pretty simple pricing model. It's like a $50,000 setup fee or $50,000 tech fee every year. Let's not call it setup because you want it to be recurring. So it's a $50,000 platform fee that renews every year. And then we charge based off of usage on top of that,
Okay.
right?
Okay.
I wouldn't do the paid pilot. I tried that with a AI startup that I was advising, and it just didn't work because the red tape is still a lot, right? And it's hard to kind of rally resources around a paid pilot that's like $10,000, let's say, right? Because
I see.
it's like, usually it's probably like 1 to 3 months, and then there's like a lot of pressure for you to get the results in within 3 months. And then like, oftentimes people are distracted by other projects that are like year-long projects where they're spending 100K, right?
Right.
So I would rather, if you are going to do a pilot, I would probably rather, have you guys do a free pilot over 2 weeks maybe, right? And then be very clear before you start the pilot, but that hey, like if the pilot does well and this is the success criteria we're measuring, this is going to be 100K plus bill, right?
I see. I see. Makes sense.
And then that way they know, they don't feel like you're like baiting and switching them. And then you can have the conversation around value before you both invest your time, right? Be-
Yeah.
so, and that could even be like a month for free, right? Like 2 weeks might be, you might get pushback on 2 weeks, but I think the point is like be really crystal clear on the value you're providing, even if you don't have proof points yet. Like you should logically be able to play the tape around this is at least X dollar of a pain point,
Mm-hmm.
and then say the pricing before you do any free POCs, and you'll probably get pushback. They'll probably be like, you guys don't have any customers. You're crazy to charge me a $30,000 platform fee. Then you could say like, well, maybe we're not the right product then for now, because you just said that you have a ton of issues and you're wasting $500,000 a year on reporting. So if you're not ready to spend $30,000 on a platform fee, then like there might be a gap that we can't overcome. And then the more you do that, you're going to find somebody who's like their hair's on fire because they've been trying to fix this, and they will throw money at solving the problem.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And then, like obviously it's going to be hard to sell that. It's not easy, even if you quantify the problem to like get that through. But if you have an opinion on the pricing, it'll be more clear who you should continue working with. Right. And then the other thing is like, you should be in the mindset that, hey, charging 25, 30K, or maybe it's even 10, 15K, like you guys decide, right? Like you have to decide what will you be happy with, as like startup founders for the first 10 customers, let's say, right?
Yeah.
And whatever that is, that's going to increase, obviously, right? Like if you say 25K platform fee, you should make the prospect feel like they're getting a deal. Because if they're like, hey, like this seems really expensive, you should be like, well, if it's expensive to you right now, like in a year or two, it's going to be even more expensive for like our 20th customer, right? Like this is actually a good deal for you. The reason why it's 25K is because you're our first customer, right?
Right.
So I think you should kind of do that, because then psychologically, and it should be objectively true. I'm not telling you to trick anybody. Like that is just how startup sales go, right? You never charge what you're going to charge your first 10 customers, right? But
Yeah.
that also doesn't mean you have to give away your product for free.
Right.
And especially if they know what the price point is going to be, not down to like the exact dollar or even like thousands of dollars, but they should know, hey, depending on how the pilot goes, this is going to be between 50 to 80K in the first year, right? Like, does that feel reasonable to you? And if they say yes, you might have actually priced that too low. If they say no, it's still good, because then you should be curious and be like, why is that too much to you? Because you just said this is like a multi-million-dollar problem for your company. So help me understand why investing $100,000 to fix a $10 million problem is too much. And then they might be like, well, there's budget issues, X, Y, and Z. And then you could say, okay, well, what are those budget issues? Will that budget issue change in 6 months? Right? Or is there a way where we can frame the investment as a different budget line item? Right? So you get like, I'm just kind of like mock playing out different things that have happened to me, right? Yeah.
That's really great advice. Thank you so much.
Of course, yeah. Oh, and the other thing too is, by the way, like in whatever deck you create, maybe it's this. I think there's an opportunity to make it even stronger, to give you confidence that, oh, we're talking to the right people. For more guidance on enterprise sales and an in-depth look at the tactics I use to be successful at companies like Google, Dropbox, Slack, and most recently Twingate, subscribe to my online course at Peter on Sales School. We go over how to make a great first impression, how to craft an engaging pitch deck, what it takes to give a compelling demo, how to negotiate like a pro, and finally, what modern, authentic outbound sales looks like to get you leads. Check the comments below to enroll in Peter on Sales School today. I think you can paint the problem statement a lot more effectively, right? Along the lines of like, hey, this is like, you need to fix this yesterday, not in a salesy way, but more in kind of like a way where you can, along the way, not just pitch, but you can be like, hey, is this the problem you have? No. Is this the problem you have? Is this the problem you have? And if 10 minutes into the call, they're saying, no, we don't have any of those problems, then you should be like, well, might not be the right thing. I'll just like save you some time. I don't even want to show you the product because you're telling me you don't even have a problem, right? For the the product we've solved for, or we've created for, right?
Yeah.
Anyways, I'm sorry. I have a call in a minute with a client, but this is great. Let's continue this chat. You know, I want to like see if I can help you further. We can talk about more like formal coaching as well. But what you guys have built seems like really interesting, actually. Yeah. Nice meeting you, Bo. Yeah. Let's meet up in person next time. Okay. Bye. Take care.